Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement that you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Floorcrest Media Group presents a CMG podcast, Keys to the City.
Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know.
Crossed up by Kobe, little floater to Shaq, and then Shaq goes like this, and the rest is history. Pay attention. Don't tell me what to do, devil woman. But speaking of those Lakers, hold on. But I didn't make my. I said Denver's gonna win. Yeah, you did. You said that.
There's no other show like that. Clovercrest is doing great things right now.
Streaming everywhere.
The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the GMen every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Drawing About the G-Men, or Giants Anonymous. To sit here, complain about the Giants every week, because, I mean, it's just terrible right now. So bad. I was at work. I didn't get to see the game live. I obviously came back and watched it. And some dude came in the store wearing a Giants hat. I'm like, hey, well, how's the game going? And he just looked down and was like, I don't know, man. It just sucks. It was 30-7 at that point. His son, they were leaving the store, and his son was like, I guess on to the Jets now. It's just ridiculous. It's a joke. Giants 37-21. I mean, that score is not indicative. Mike Lennon, good for him, able to lead the team down there during garbage time. Make it look a little closer, but I mean, that was not indicative of the game. And all things right now, everything looks like Joe Judge is going to be back. I don't know if I'm happy with that. Joe, how do you feel about that after this week?
I've said this a few times on the show now. What is it that Joe Judge brings to the table? He's got a delusional outlook on the games, on the team. He's supposed to be a motivator and a disciplinarian, and he's neither of those things. You probably are going to let Dave Gettleman go when the season is over, as I understand it, and that's a great move, a good step in the right direction, but now you're limiting your next general manager to work with a coach who he's probably going to fire the year after. I brought this up on Keys to the City before. Let's say the Giants were to hire, I don't know, Louis Riddick. He's not a fan of Daniel Jones, and I don't think he's a fan of Joe Judge. So do you force that guy to come in and work with them for 1 year? Is he going to put all his eggs in that basket? Or is he going to want to see it fail? So now 2022 is going to be another one of those years. You clean house, you start over, you bring in a GM, he finds the coach he wants, they decide who the quarterback of the future is going to be, whether it's DJ or somebody else. Maybe you go get a Pete Carroll and a Russell, maybe you bring them both over. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but Joe Judge is not doing it for me. He continues to go into market number one in the world, the New York market, and just say absurdly stupid things. It's not helpful. Bottom line is you play for the fans. That's what you're playing for. No, nobody wants to play. I mean, they all bitched last year when there was nobody in the stands. Well, now they're back and you're playing like garbage for them. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, do you want to do another year of this same nonsense, or do you just blow it up and start over? Because it's time.
No, I mean, you're right with another year of the same nonsense. Like, I get that a GM wants to bring in his own guy. If there's a new GM, I mean, so what? Go ahead, tough it out a year. That maybe you're going to have a high draft pick. Let's see what you do with that if you have to deal with Joe Judge for another year.
2 high draft picks. I'm
talking about next year. If a new GM has to deal with Joe Judge, because it's going to be the same disaster. So then, yeah, he'll have these 2 this year, possibly another one next year. But Zay, I mean, Joe, you brought up Daniel Jones. Zay, we talked a little bit about this after posting up last night. You think Daniel Jones might not even play another snap of football?
No, it doesn't look like it's trending that way. And it could be a blessing in disguise for the Giants. As Joe mentioned, going into the situation, you have people who may not support Joe Judge coming in. There's definitely going to be a new GM. They've already discussed it. Dave Gettleman will be retired at the end of the year. The Giants are giving him a nice walk-off situation similar to what they did to Coughlin. That's what they're saying. So there will be a new GM, and to force the new GM to work with a situation like Daniel Jones and Judge that he doesn't like, I agree with Joe, isn't going to work. So maybe this might be a blessing in disguise. I don't like the neck physicals. I don't like the specialist, the spine specialist. I don't like that he's seen both of them back to back, and they both have given negative reviews. It kind of gives me David Wilson vibes. And we all know what happened to which could have been a very star running back in this town, and it leaves a lot of issues for us later on. We know what happened, and he ended up not being able to play football no more. So if Daniel Jones isn't able to play football no more due to his neck, it could be a blessing in disguise for the Giants. Plus, I don't think he's the guy for the Giants. I mentioned before, we have seen more progression from players like Mac Jones in 1 year than we have in 3 years of Daniel Jones. I'm ready at this point to move on and see what else we can get in the draft. We'll have possibly the 5th and 6th pick this year. I think you bring in a new staff that handles the cap situation, gets rid of all the dead weight that we don't need, get rid of players like the Sterling Shepards, the Evan Ingrams, these guys who we thought were going to pan out to something that didn't end up panning out to something, and find a way to get this ship back on board. I think the Giants have to, overhaul this whole thing completely, or like Joe said, we'll be looking at another 3 and everything season. It's going to be a waste of time. I say everything because I don't know if they're going to add another game or not. So I'm just going off of it.
Yeah, but we saw it last week. We saw it with this game. Chargers, they're a team on the come up. Young stud in Justin Herbert. Solid new coach. And the Giants are a team that, I say it in the intro, Joe Judge, jury and executioner, we thought he had a bright future, but it's not like that. It's going downward. Sean, what are you thinking right now?
I'm pretty pissed, honestly, that John Mara is going to keep Joe Judge around. I think it hurts us in our general manager search because, like we said, our general manager is going to have to come in and, pretty much force Joe Judge upon him when I think that's going to hurt most of our general manager candidates because I feel like most of the guys aren't going to want to step in with a head coach that they didn't handpick themselves. They know that they're going into a bad situation. They've seen what Joe Judge has done in the first 2 years of his tenure, and it hasn't turned this team around at all. And we're in cap hell pretty much. We have a bunch of big contracts, a bunch of guys that either haven't panned out, they've been injured, or the contracts haven't worked out at all. So they're going into a bad cap situation with a team that hasn't been good in 5 years, with a head coach that's forced upon them that I'm pretty sure most people aren't going to want to step into that role. So it's pretty tough. Obviously, I think John Mara is holding this team back. I get that he likes Joe Judge. I get that he doesn't want to fire another guy after 2 years. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Right, and hire the right guy.
Exactly. That's why I think John Mara, if he sells the team, I would be one of the happiest Giants fans out there. But that's never going to happen. So, as long as he's there, I think that we're going to be in a rough situation because he doesn't know when to hire the right guy. He doesn't know the right guy to hire. Obviously, the GM and head coaching candidates the past couple of years have not been great. The ones that he brought in were all pretty good, except he didn't hire the right guy. So, it's just rough. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's Joe Judge. He shouldn't be coming back for another year after the year that he's had. Some of his clock management, the timeouts that he's taken, just the fact that we haven't shown any progression over the past year. The only bright spot of his tenure was last year when we went in that little winning streak. And then we ended up losing all the games down the stretch. And this year, he hasn't shown any improvement at all. And so it's rough. I don't want Joe Judge to come back, but it's looking like it's inevitable at this point because John Mara loves him, and pretty much it's all up to John Mara, which is going to hinder this franchise for the next another 5 years. So it's a tough situation that I wish we can get out of, but us being Giants fans, we're miserable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just misery. Right now is the perfect time to just blow everything up. I know it's not the Giants' way to do it like mid-season.
Go that far. Yes.
No, I mean, look,
they have
you're not going to have Daniel Jones
Hold on. Now,
you can't try and build on the fly again.
Now, hold on. We talked about this before. There's still talent on that roster. And as much as we hate Dave Gettleman did what we asked. We asked him to go out there, get us the best free agent wide receiver available at the time. He did. In our eyes, that was Kenny Golladay, and that's who we got. And that's what he did for us. We asked him to go get some offensive linemen. He drafted offensive linemen. He signed offensive linemen. Whether they panned out or not, he went out and addressed these situations. But again, there is still talent on that team. To completely say we have to blow it up, I wouldn't go that far.
No, I'm talking about the front office. You got to blow up the front office.
Yes, destroy it.
No, they got to blow up the whole thing.
No, Sean. Yeah, but regardless, the player situation that's going to be difficult. Regardless, you have to start with the front office, and now is the perfect time. You might not have Daniel Jones for the rest of the season, so everything else is a wash. You're going to be going out there with Mike Lennon or Jake Fromm for the next couple of games. So just blow it up now, get a head start on the interviews so you have the pick of the litter when it comes to a GM. Or, I mean, even if they do, I don't want them to keep Joe Judge right now either. So even if they fire Joe Judge right now, you have the pick of the litter to go, hey, who's going to be the new coach? Get a head start on it. Start now rather than wait for these next couple of weeks of just bull crap and not learning anything and just getting worse and worse.
I believe you got to wait till the regular season is over and then ask for permission for teams that are still in the playoffs if you want to interview coaches on their staff. I don't think you could do it in season. I think you have to wait till after. I'm not 100% on that, but I believe it's after the season is over and then teams that are in the playoffs, you can ask for permission to interview someone on their staff if you want to just view their staff member for a position out of your coaching staff, but I don't believe you could do it during mid-season. I'm not sure.
I think you could do it whenever, but they just have to grant you permission, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the candidate, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
They have to just grant permission.
I've never seen an in-season hire. That's why I've seen the coach get fired. They do the interim to the end of the year, and then they bring in a guy at the end of the year. I've never seen a coach get fired and they bring in a new coach mid-season. I've never seen that before in my life.
I mean, I'm not saying bring him in mid-season. They are going to wait to hire him until after the season. But even Joe Judge, he was brought in like during the playoffs and that stuff, right? Like it was very, very close. Like all this stuff happens pretty quick.
I think it was I don't remember.
But all right,
2 miserable long years.
Oh yeah, that's rough, and it's just going to be keeping the same thing. I mean, there is no – it's another, like, rebuild on the fly. If you get rid of Gettleman, bring in new GM. Yeah, maybe maybe the GM can do something to get Joe Judge going, maybe, but that's a big hope and that's a big fever dream if that's what you're counting on, bringing in a new GM. But, I mean, we got to talk about it. Let's switch over to this week's game. Dallas Cowboys, I mean, talk a team trending in the right direction. They struggled a little bit. Now you got a guy like Micah Parsons. Everyone's talking about being possibly defensive player of the year, going up against Mike Glennon. Micah Parsons is just going to be in Mike Glennon's grill all game. So I don't know. Like it's so hard for me to continue to be the Giants. Like I'm just going to keep saying it every week. Field goal battle. That's how the Giants are going to win. Just force them to kick field goals. I have trust in Graham Gano over any other kicker, but I mean it's going to be rough. Dak, he's struggled a little bit the past couple weeks, but I'm sure he's just going to get back. This is going to be a get-right game for him. The run game looked really good last week for the Cowboys. I'm sure they're going to run it on this Giants defense. It just sucks, man. It sucks. And Dallas, with the big win last week against the football team, and now they're just going to pull away with the NFC East.
They almost blew that win. They almost let that win up. I wouldn't go that. I mean, there's obviously a crack.
There's still a big win.
There's a crack of light of hope for the Giants, but we all know it's finished at this point.
There's no crack.
You would hope the players.
There's a crack of light for the Eagles.
You would hope at this point the players are playing for pride in their jobs. At this point, that's what you would hope. It's really what it comes down to is for the Giants. There's nothing left in this season.
Yeah, you bring up a good point with playing for their jobs. I mean, you want to talk about – we just talked about a bunch about Joe Judge. Like, none of these players are playing for Joe Judge. Like, you see, look at a team like the Lions. Every week, they're losing, but they're still giving it their all. They're still making the game a lot more competitive than a lot of other teams. And when they got that win, it was they were celebrating because they liked their guy, Dan Campbell. Nothing's like that with the Giants. No one's playing for Joe Judge. Well, they don't have that connection or chemistry.
Again, part of the problem is the guy who supports him is Saquon Barkley, who hasn't been himself. If Saquon Barkley had been the electric player that he's been before and he was supporting Joe Judge, you have a lot of players backing him. Because Saquon Barkley is nothing more than a backup running back at this point, people aren't buying in. If you're a leader, if you can't follow your leader, you don't trust in him, you don't believe in him, how could you ever believe in what he's trying to preach to you? He's following the coach. He agrees with the coach. He came out earlier and said he trusts in Joe Judge and he wants to retire and stay in New York. That's what Saquon Barkley said himself. The problem is he's supposed to be the it for this team, but the team I don't think sees it that way. He hasn't been the it for them. He's never been there for them. He hasn't been the Saquon they need him to be all year. And when he has been there, he hasn't been there. And when he has been there, but when he has been there, he hasn't been good. And when he isn't there, he's always injured. It's not because, anything else. He's always injured. He is completely at this point. I don't want to say, I'm trying to be nice about it, but he's a bust. Saquon Barkley is a bust. I've been screaming it for weeks. He's a bust. The Giants have to find someone that they can bring on this team who's going to be electric, who's going to be a spark, who's going to be that person that the other players can look at and be like, I want to follow that guy. They don't have that no more. They used to have that in Eli Manning. No matter Eli Manning, he was a quiet leader in the locker room. He was in control of the team no matter how he looked. He wasn't a rah-rah guy. He wasn't a yelling guy, but he was a leader. Then Saquon Barkley came in. He seemed like he was going to be that guy, and he never panned out. Now the Giants have no one to follow. So you have players following no one and coaching staff that has no direction either.
I don't even think – I love Eli, but I don't even think Eli was necessarily that leader. I think it was more so Tom Coughlin. Tom Coughlin was one of those very strict guys. He was one of those general type, you have to do it my way or the highway. And when you do that, there is no going astray. The reason he got kicked out of the Jags was because he was like that. No one liked how the clocks were 15 minutes.
No, that's a guy who brings a culture to the team. What I'm saying is Eli was a leader because he was out there every week. He was dependable every week. He went out there and made plays when they needed him. And when it came down to the game with 2 minutes left, if Eli had the ball, you felt comfortable 9 times out of 10. And that's what he brought to the team. That's the leader. You don't always have to be pronounced to be a leader. You could be a leader in what you do, your actions on the field, on how you handle yourself on and off the field. That's how you be a leader. Saquon Barkley has handled it off the field well, but when it comes to on the field translating there, he hasn't been there for the Giants in the last 3 or 4 years. He just hasn't. That's the issue. Eli's been there every day, every Sunday. I never looked at the injury chart and thought Eli Manning was ever going to be up there. I never had to worry about it. I get nervous every time Saquon Barkley gets tackled. I'm not sure if he's going to get up.
I get that, but also, like, leadership isn't just being out on the field. Like, you can be a leader off the field when you are injured. I mean, you can do that. But, I mean, just with all the injuries, I don't know. We're going off. We're getting a little bit off the rails. I get what you're saying, though.
I mean, are we? What do you? I mean, that's ridiculous. You either are there or you're not. You know what I mean? It's you're not a leader if you're not there. I mean, you're literally the guy the offense is built around and it's supposed to run through. So if you're never on the field and then when you are, you don't play well, then you're not a leader.
I agree.
But I mean, the leadership isn't just on the field, though. It's an intangible. Like you have to be.
No, but it has to translate to the field.
It's to manifest itself on the field or in the locker room, and I don't see it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But I mean, it isn't just about on the field. Like you can be a leader off the field as well.
No, I get that, James. What I'm saying is, you remember that play where Saquon Barkley against the Eagles? He dodged like 3 tackles in one play. It was like one of the greatest plays I've ever seen him make.
Yeah.
That's Saquon Barkley. When you see that guy go out there and you know the line is terrible and he dodges 3 tackles and he still makes something aggressive, that makes me want to go out there and block and play for that guy. That's a leader right there. But what a guy I've seen lately, he looks like he doesn't even want to get tackled. He doesn't look like he wants to get touched at sometimes. He goes into the line and he hesitates. He doesn't look like the same Saquon Barkley we knew him to be or he came into. And that's part of the issue with the team. There's no one there for them. There's no one leading them there. There's no one guiding them there. The idea of bringing you got to remember, the idea of Daniel Jones and Eli Manning, that whole thing was that they figured, we'll trade Odell because he won't want to deal with a new quarterback. And Saquon should be able to help the new quarterback become this great star. That's what he was supposed to do. He's supposed to relieve pressure. In essence, in the last 3 years, he's added more pressure because he hasn't been there and he hasn't been performing well. So in essence, it's made Daniel Jones regress instead of progress. And that is not being a leader. You can have your actions off the field, doing whatever, but if it's not translating to on the field, your team will never take the steps forward it needs to take if you're not helping them take them steps. It's just simple as that. He's not there. He's not dependable. He's not making an impact. Just like Sterling Shepard, another guy who I put a lot of blame on. You're an older guy. You're a vet. You've been there for a while. You are not leading anyone. You're sitting on the bench all the time. This team is gutless. They're spineless. They don't want to play. You can see it every week. It's terrible. And Joe made a good point. If the Giants defense could have found a way to hold them to 17 points, the Giants could have won against the Chargers. They scored 21 points somehow. They couldn't. And it comes down to effort.
They're on the field the whole game. That's
Again, but there's a ton of issues with this team. When your starting quarterback goes down, it shouldn't mean the end of your season. I don't know where this thought in NFL comes from that the backup quarterback has to be this terrible guy. There's no reason why your backup quarterback can't be as good or almost on par with your starter. Mike Glennon is terrible. I don't know who evaluated that and said, let's go with this guy for the backup over everybody that's a free agent. Yeah. Not to mention, I'm not going to throw out Cam Newton. I don't think he's a better fit, but I'm sure there were other guys out there who could have done a better job than Mike Glennon is doing right now. The Giants could have added a Haskins. God, I know it would have been 2 guys of the same year or whatever, but it would still have been a lot better than watching Mike Glennon out there right now. I prefer to watch Haskins than Mike Glennon. I'm just sorry.
No, I mean, I'm not mad at that take. I mean, also with them being the same year, like that's also like creating a competition, making them have to go out and be themselves. So I like that as well. But I do think we're talking about all this as far as like leadership and that stuff goes. I mean, last year the real identity of this team was the defense, right? And the biggest leader was Blake Martinez because he was that guy. He was out there the whole time. So I think with him not being here this year, that's probably the biggest problem. But I do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of other problems. I mean, that's only defense. And there's obviously offense and all that stuff too. But Sean, what are you thinking right now?
I mean, there's not much else to say. I mean, this team stinks. There's no other way around it. It's tough. I mean, I get what you guys are saying about not being on the field for leadership, but it's kind of tough to put it on those guys just because they've been getting injured. That they can't be leaders. I mean, you can still be a leader. I agree with Jason in the sense that you can still be a leader in the locker room and on the practice field and on the sidelines for guys. You know, like for Sterling Shepard's case, for all the younger receivers, I mean, he could still give them tips and pointers when he's on the sideline. He can still get them pumped up. I'm trying to find something to say, but I mean, Ray, I'm being serious though. I mean, you can still be a leader even if you're not on the field. I mean, it's tough, and I get what you're saying about Saquon Barkley, but he has looked like a shell of himself recently and most of this year. But he did just, I think, have probably the best game of his season last week. He actually hit the holes. He wasn't dancing around. That one route where he got a touchdown, he absolutely shook off that cornerback. So hopefully we can see more of that Saquon down the stretch. Obviously, we gave him the fifth-year option, so we're going to have another year of Saquon, whether people like it or not. So hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he can have some momentum down the stretch, because if we have any chance against the Cowboys this week, I think that's how we're going to do it. I think we're going to have to neutralize that pass rush. Obviously, they got Randy Gregory back, DeMarcus Lawrence back. Micah Parsons been a beast, so I don't have Mike Glennon drop back 35, 40 times. That's just not going to work. It's not going to happen. And we've run the ball with success, not just yeah, you're telling me, Jared Jones. But I mean, yeah, we've had success running the ball, not just with Saquon, but Devontae Booker too the last couple of weeks. So if we can get the ground game going, I think that we do have a chance. We just got to make sure that we have to stick to it. First of all, we can't be giving the ball to Mike Glennon's hands. That's where we're going to lose the game. And it's going to help the defense, not be on the field the whole time if we try and run some clock. So if we have any chance against the Cowboys this week, we got to run the ball with success, try and eat up the time of possession, and try and stop that Cowboys offense, because the Cowboys offense hasn't looked that great the last couple of weeks, especially Dak Prescott. So if there's any chance, which I don't think there is Sunday, I think it's going to be with running the ball. But I don't know. We don't have any chance, really. But that's our best chance.
It's going to be a barn burner.
No, I mean,
Dallas will score more than 35 points, and so the race is on. I mean, again, the Giants, the 21 points this week, I got to be honest, was amazing. I enjoyed it. I sat there right to the bitter end. I mean, I did.
You did?
And that was fun. I watched my man Mike Glennon score his first rushing touchdown of his illustrious career.
Oh my God! He looked like he was scared to get hit as he was going.
He was scared to get hit. Yes, I think anybody with eyes saw that guy does not belong in the NFL.
Wow! No. And these are the guys we put on our roster.
Yeah. I mean, that's inexplicable. I mean, to me, if you want to fire Dave Gettleman for anything. And he's done some stupid, like the Mike Glennon thing made zero sense. That's who you want Daniel Jones to like be mentored by? A guy who's like 6-30 in his career? A guy who I mean, I told you there's a highlight reel of Mike Glennon. And it's like 3 minutes of him getting pick sixed and strip sacked. I don't know if there's a real highlight film of him. I really don't know that. I didn't actually find one that showed him throwing touchdowns and dropping dimes. I mean, again, knowing that Daniel Jones has been hurt a couple of games every year, they thought, gosh, if he does go out next year, maybe somebody Mike Glennon would be perfect to step in. I just don't get it.
Even just like an undrafted rookie, like screw Mike Glennon, the Lewerke kid. he's got something to prove, maybe. But I mean, yeah, Mike Lennon's. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We can just talk for we can talk for hours on hours, just the different problems and all that stuff. But it just sucks. It sucks so much.
So I was having this conversation earlier about Micah Parsons and the impact that he's had on Dallas's defense, and there's only a couple of guys I think ever, at least in my lifetime, that have had the kind of impact on a defense where you had one of the worst in the league, and the following year you become one of the best in the league, and that's Lawrence Taylor and Nick Bosa, who both basically joined teams that had lousy defenses and instantly turn them into top-tier defenses. And this guy's done the same thing. And while I don't care much for him, and I think he's got serious character issues, you got to say that defense, man. We weren't sure, right? We kept doing the, well, I'll have to see. Yeah, it's good. And, I mean, obviously that offense, when it's healthy, it can score points when everybody's in there. It's a dangerous, dangerous team. I understand that it is the Cowboys, and this has been a weird NFL season. Last weekend was one of the first weekends where there was not any real upset, where all the teams that were supposed to win basically won last week. Yeah. And, yeah, it was that kind of week. I think the Rams, you might say, was probably the only real upset of the week. Yeah. And it was the only underdog that came through. I feel like we're going to get back to that this weekend. And, I mean, the Giants play the Cowboys well. And the Giants are under fire. I'm not going to say – I won't say it. I'm just telling you, I think the Giants – again, we always assume the Giants are toast. It really could be. Yeah, it's funny. Falcons, Rams. Jared just said Falcons and Rams. I had the Falcons and Rams with the Jets. Falcons, Rams, Giants. Falcons, Rams, Jags. Falcons, Rams. I had a bunch of them. And the third team lost every time.
Yeah.
So it literally was just those couple of teams. But yeah, look, the Giants tend to do weird things. Let's say they can find a way to get the ball to Saquon.
No.
It would be fun. It would be. You could dare to dream. There's so much talent on the Giants, but there's no cohesiveness. There's no flow to their offense. Their defense is on the field too much. Yeah. I've been saying this all. I mean, Blake Martinez was the most devastating injury the Giants suffered this year.
Yeah.
I still think Trey Crowder and Ragland, I still feel like the two of them, there always seems to be some sort of confusion where those two guys are always talking like, I don't think you had that problem when Blake Martinez was there. No. And so I do think this Giants defense has suffered immensely, losing obviously not only their leading tackler, but their play caller. And the guy that really, I mean, he's a great veteran in this league. And no offense to Trey Crowder, who I think is a great young player and a far cry from the Mr. Irrelevant that he was a couple of years ago. But a seventh-round pick, calling your defensive plays, it's the reason he was a seventh-round pick. I mean, the guy's only so talented. And I mean, the Giants, again, we've talked about this since, like, Antonio Pierce. Until Blake Martinez showed up, it's been a position of weakness, the linebacker spot, which, historically it's the Giants. It's the team where LT played. It's like Penn State not having good linebackers. You don't expect that at linebacker U.
No, yeah, but I mean,
sorry, no, you go. I was just trying to say, I agree with Joe's linebacker statement, but that again is something we should bring up because instead of Tate Crowder, that could have been Isaiah Simmons, and it could have been Micah Parsons. It could have been Isaiah Simmons and Micah Parsons instead.
It could have, would have, should have.
Those were the guys I wanted the last two drafts. Those were my guys.
We could have had both of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm as a New York fan who's hurting, who watched Steph Curry get a record last night in the Garden as a team that passed up on him. I'm feeling that this week I'm going to feel the same with Micah Parsons, that the Giants passed up on another stud play.
Would you rather have a linebacker on a already pretty good defense, or would you rather be without a left tackle? Because if we picked Isaiah Simmons last year, then we wouldn't have Andrew Thomas.
I'd rather have the linebacker. I'm sorry.
And
he could have
have nobody on our line.
Yes, because I'll tell you what, it's as much as this defense is relied upon, it's very backseated to what the work that needs to be done on the offense and the attention that's paid to the offense. I mean, if you're just going to punt a lot late in games and put it on your defense, then you should be investing in a defense. Right. And you had back-to-back defensive impact linebackers that you passed on.
Yeah, but if you're gonna be punting all the time, you're never gonna score points. Eventually, if your defense is on the field that much, it doesn't matter how good they are; they're gonna get scored on at some point. If they're out there for 40 minutes a game and you can't score at all,
but if they're good enough to give you
at some point, you have to adjust the offense.
They give you better position. You get better opportunities to score. If you get better field possession and better opportunity to score, that improves your chances of scoring.
The Giants score with the worst offensive line in the league. Mike Glennon.
You can find good offensive linemen in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. There's guys that have been really good. You know, you could build with
have to get your premium offensive lineman in the first 2 rounds. You can't. Sometimes,
but you know what? You're also not going to find an impact linebacker like an Isaiah Simmons or a Micah Parsons after pick 15. So when you're there, again, the Giants need to be looking at impact players. Impact players, guys that are going to make a difference. I mean, I love Xavier McKinney. You know, I was willing to sacrifice the Isaiah Simmons thing for Andre Thomas there because their 2nd round pick was McKinney. All right, we need a playmaker. He's been a playmaker. But other than him, who else on this defense is a playmaker? Logan Ryan. Hasn't really created much this year, but historically, that's what I'm saying. There's just not enough impact guys.
Ojulari maybe and Leonard Williams. That's really it.
Leonard Williams for sure. Ojulari, I mean, week in and week out is becoming more and more of an. I liked Roche too is becoming quite a player, but we need more of that. The Giants need more impact guys on defense because again. You expect your defense to come up big time after time after time. You tend to punt late. You put it on the defense. But I just don't think the Giants have paid enough attention to the defense. You know, going out and getting Adoree Jackson, great. The cornerbacks, it was kind of weak. And there's always injuries there. So is Bradbury enough? No, it wasn't last year. He wouldn't have been enough this year.
To Joe's argument, our Super Bowl years, we didn't have the top 10 offenses in the league. We had top 10 defenses in the league those years.
Yes.
We never had a top 10 offense in the league. We never had a top 10 quarterback in the league. We never had a top 10 running back or receiver. So the fact, I kind of agree with Joe. They probably should have went out and got those impact linebackers, continued to make this defense what it is. And again, Parsons, we could have put him on the edge. He could have been great for us on the edge. We've needed pass rush.
Listen, I mean, we could spend hours going on.
Tony, who hasn't done anything for us.
No,
we also drafted back and got 2 first-round picks. Or maybe 2 top 6 picks.
I mean, you could go every team
right in a draft that's lacking what you're looking for here, right? I mean, again, the Giants are going to end up they're going to miss out on the 2 great pass rushers. They fall into that weird like, you know, that 3 through 8 where like, you know, hit or miss. So you're not going to get to either of the 2 guys you really want and need the impact guys you could get. I mean, trading back was great last year for another pick, but what's that going to turn into?
And if it's turned into Tony, is it worth it?
Beast and Evan Neal.
I mean, again, the pick could have been the Giants and it could have been Justin Fields, and who knows?
I mean, listen, we could talk about – we could go through every team every year and every pick, and we can criticize how they could have picked him here or them there. Or you can do that with anything.
But it's been 20 years of lousy drafting. 20 years of this nonsense.
You're right. It is. But, I mean, hindsight's always 20/20.
No, it's not hindsight when the guys are there when you're on the clock. Hindsight is, well, you could have taken those guys and figured it out.
You're looking at hindsight. We knew Isaiah Simmons was going to be good. We knew Micah Parsons was going to be good. That wasn't a hindsight situation.
Again, I think no
one knew Isaiah Simmons was going to be good until this year.
Nobody knew Isaiah Simmons was going to be good.
Barely any snaps. He played like 20% of the snaps in Arizona last year.
Hold on. His for not getting to play in Arizona has nothing to do with him being a stud. We knew he was going to be a stud from Clemson. The fact that he can play linebacker and safety, that shows you he's a stud.
Before this year, Isaiah Simmons was one of the biggest busts because he was barely getting on the field. So, I mean, you can take it both ways. Any way, you can have it both ways. You can say something's bad, something's good.
Isaiah Simmons is a bust, but see how you argue that Saquon wasn't.
I was here week one praising the Cardinals for finally letting him play because I was so high on Isaiah Simmons. But, I mean, going into this season, people were talking about him being a bust because he was barely playing. So, I mean, it can go either way.
Now he isn't a bust because he is playing, and that's the difference.
It's a lot easier
but maybe he needed time to sit down.
It's a lot easier to take the shot and let them become a bust and then argue it. Let them, like Saquon Barkley, we'll look back on it like, that was a bad pick, but we took the shot. As much as I didn't agree with it, you took the shot. Saquon was probably the best available player on the board at the time. You took the shot.
The Giants haven't drafted well at all under Gettleman and poorly over literally the last 20 years. And that's not hindsight. That's a pattern. It's a pattern that needs to be addressed. If you have 20 bad drafts in a row, fire your scouting department because they suck. You're not getting good information, and you're not obviously analyzing players properly. You're not developing these guys properly. So something's not right.
No, it's all got to be fixed. I'd say the development's probably worse than the drafting because I mean. There is stuff there. You have to be able to develop these players rather than you can always go back and say, hey, we should have picked him here instead. But who knows? If Micah Parsons came here to the Giants, would that necessarily maybe it isn't the same development as he's getting with Quinn and the Cowboys?
No,
Zay, you never really know. That's the thing. Joe, how many times
are bringing a stud player onto a top 10 defense a year ago? You're talking about bringing a stud player onto a top. Mind you, we didn't know the Giants defense was going to be what they turned out to be this year. So we would assume you're bringing a top player onto what was a top 10 defense. How could you assume you weren't going to get better? How could you not make that assumption off the bat?
How could you assume he was going to be a top player? How could you assume that he was going to be in the defensive player of the year?
You knew Micah Parsons was going to be a stud if you watched him. You knew just like Isaiah Simmons. When you watch these guys play, you know they're going to be stud. These are versatile players. They can play multiple positions on the defensive side of the ball. These aren't guest players.
Zay, I'm with you. I like Micah. I brought up Micah Parsons on the show. I was the one that said he played the end in college, so he might even be able to come and do that in the NFL, and that's what he did. I talked about that. So, like, the thing is the Giants suck. Whether it was Micah Parsons, whether it was Justin Fields, whether it was Trevor Lawrence, whether it was Joe Schmo 5 rounds back, the Giants would have sucked because we're in turmoil and everything sucks.
No, I agree. But when you have a sucky team, you have to bring in pieces in order to make them better. And those are the pieces that the Giants missed out on, big pieces. Think about what that defense would look like today. I'm just saying. As much as you want to think about what that defense would look like today. We probably have one of the top. I still think we'd have one of the top 10 defenses.
I mean,
and we'd be scoring 7 points a game.
Yeah.
If you make that pick, it hurts the offense somewhere else. Like,
but also think about how underachieving those guys.
Again, how does it hurt the offense again? Has Andrew Thomas really been that great? Has he really been that impactful?
Yes, he has.
He's our only good lineman on our team. Like, and he's
that's
a left
not saying much. That's not saying much on that team when a team is terrible.
Bosa.
When you're the best player on a terrible team, it doesn't say much. I'm sorry. It doesn't say much. You're the best
one
player.
QB pressure last week against Joey Bosa. So, I mean, Andrew Thomas is a beast. Listen,
Okay.
I mean, we could talk. We can spend even more time. We can just go hours. I mean, Giants suck. Plain and simple. Giants suck. Incompetence, yeah. And, yeah, I mean, so something's got to change. And hopefully it comes sooner. Like, I mean, Gettleman's already – everyone's assumed Gettleman's gone. Like I said earlier, just cut it now. Get the interviews rolling. Start figuring things out. Get ahead of the game as far as picking a new GM goes. Because, I mean, waiting till the end of the season isn't going to do anything. And, I mean, you're already a mess. Everything's already a mess. You might have Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm starting for the rest of the season, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be I don't know. All right. I'm done talking about the Giants for now. Let's take a break, and then we'll get to the best bets and fantasy locks. I just need to take a break, relax, because it's just frustrating. Giants are just so frustrating. See you after this.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
Helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBB Realty is?
People over paychecks, you do the damn thing.
And that's what we do.
All right. Big shout out to CTBB Realty. If you are in the housing market, make sure you hit them up and they'll set you up with your forever home. Now, I mean, Giants always frustrate me talking about them. But on a lighter note, hey, I am on top. Let's go, baby. The lead, Sean, took your top spot. These overs have been hitting for me, baby. Let's go. Let's keep it up. And, I mean, Joe and Zay, you guys broke your loss streak, Sean. It's tough, huh?
Yeah, 5 in a row. Not great. But I was thinking about doing over-unders this week, but I'm going to stick to the spread. I got to get back on a winning streak to end the season.
All right. And speaking of which, you got the Seahawks plus 4.5 at the Rams.
Ooh.
Yeah, Seahawks have been playing better the last couple weeks. Excuse me. I think Russell Wilson might have came back a little too early, but he's shown that he's right back to one of the top quarterbacks in the league last couple of weeks. Rams are coming off a huge win against the Cardinals. I think this could be a letdown spot. Even if they don't end up losing the game, I think Seahawks keep it close. And the Seahawks are pretty desperate at this point. They're 5-8, but that's only one game back of the wild card spot. So realistically, they still have a chance to get in for that number 7 seed. So I think Seahawks are desperate. Rams are coming off big win and the letdown spot. So I think this will be a good NFC West matchup. So I think the Seahawks definitely keep it close.
Damn, I like that. I think this is going to be the week, Sean. I think you're going to break this streak.
I hope so.
I mean, who knows? And I mean, all the COVID stuff going on with the Rams. That should be interesting. But going from a road dog to a home dog, Joe, you're going to take the 13, the big number.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Listen, the Lions plus 13. This team could be down 28-0 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. They'll battle back. It'll be like a 28-16 final score. Here's the thing. Arizona scores 28 points per game, and Detroit gives up 27.2 points per game. So figure right there, 28 points. That's about what you'd expect the score to be. Detroit gives up 16 a game. Arizona gives up, or they score 16 a game. Arizona gives up 19. I'll put that in again around 16. I think 28-16 is the score. Take those 13 points. This Lion team doesn't quit. And so I really do think I'm putting some money on the Lions.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, like, I mean, you can say all you want about Dan Campbell, like X's and O's, but this team is playing for him. This team, like, they're rallying around him, and you can't say the same about the Giants. So, and Joe Judge, but he'll be back next year. Maybe he can do that next year. But all right, Zay, you got last week. You had Devontae Adams as your fantasy lock.
Oh, you forgot about that. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
you got the Packers going on the road winning by over 4.5.
Yeah. Now, what I'm assuming here is the Ravens, who have a 1-game lead in their division, obviously would like to make the playoffs. I'm assuming that there might be a rest situation here for Lamar Jackson, or Lamar Jackson might not be 100. And this is a game I feel that they could throw away. You have the Bengals, the Rams, and the Steelers to finish the season. And obviously, if you're protecting a 1-game lead in division, those 3 games are probably going to be those games you're going to want to win out. So if you had 1 game to lose, it'd probably be to Green Bay, where even if Lamar was healthy, it'd still be a tough task to win it. So you might as well just throw that game away, get him healthy, and go down the stretch to your last 3 games and, lock up that division. But I'm banking on the fact that Lamar Jackson is either 1, not going to play, or 2, not be super healthy. And plus, Green Bay is just the juggernaut. They probably have the league MVP on their team in Aaron Rodgers, who I'm not betting against anymore this year. So that's just really what it comes down to. I hope it all pans out.
No, yeah. I mean, not even Lamar Jackson, like the Ravens just in general, completely banged up. But I'm with that game too, Zay. But I got the over in it, baby. I'm sticking with the overs. I think, Aaron Rodgers is going to light him up. Devontae Adams going to have a big week. But, I mean, even if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, I know I'm very biased, as Tyler Huntley is from the real Utah Utes, baby. But, I mean, the offense ran pretty well with him at the helm last week. He's
been playing pretty good.
Yeah, so I think he can get the ball moving. I mean, maybe not get into the end zone all that much, but I think he can get some field goals, and I think the Packers will be able to score on this banged up Ravens defense. So, give me the over 43.5. Let's go. I see this being like a 35.
I see a 22-21 game.
22. You're such a jackass sometimes, dude.
This guy's the worst.
Oh my god! All right.
I can't take
no. All right, let's go. Fantasy locks. Joe, dead last.
Come on, man.
I mean, that was a good. I mean, that was like your best week in a little bit now. But
it was.
I mean, just everyone else.
Dude, COVID. That's what's getting me.
Yeah.
Sure. Exactly.
Sure. But I mean,
let's get back on top.
Start with me. With me. I got a fantasy lock.
I'll start with
I got a fantasy lock.
That's
this is yes, sir.
He's hot.
This. Brother, James Conner has 10 touchdowns in his last 6 games, 8 on the ground, 2 in the air. 3 games with 2 rushing touchdowns, and 1 game where he scored 3 touchdowns. No D-Hop. You're going to see them certainly run the ball more. Interestingly enough, James Conner has not rushed for 100 yards this season. He's got a season high of 96. However, the Lions allow 135 rushing yards per game. I would very much expect James Conner to have an afternoon.
Yeah, I was loving my pick going into the show. Now that I see that Joe is in it with me, I don't know how great I'm feeling about it, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it. James Conner's been on a tear. So
we're going with the running backs.
Oh, now you're trying to hop on my. Okay.
Sean, you've been killing it with the running backs. So
Let's do it.
yeah, maybe. All right, we'll see. I mean,
Great minds think alike, Joe.
I think so, yeah.
hey, I have James Conner on my fantasy team, but I have a bye this week since I'm so good. So, I mean, if he has a bad week this week, I don't care. So,
You're feeling yourself.
I mean, I only lost week 1 and the last week of the regular season last week in fantasy. So, I'm killing it. Let's go.
Must be nice when you don't got 14th pick.
All right. Zay, your boy, CD Lamb against the Giants.
Yeah, man. I hate to do it to my boys, but it's going to get ugly on Sunday, and might as well have the demolition man while you got it, So take CD Lamb. He's probably going to put up, honestly, probably 4 touchdowns through the air on the Giants. Probably solidify my fantasy lock championship this year. Sean, you make that face. Who's guarding him?
Well, last time you picked someone against the Giants, I think it was Jalen Hurts, and he threw 3 interceptions. I'm hoping the same thing.
Jalen Hurts was a reach. It was a reach. I was banking on the fact that Jalen Hurts would actually, grow up this week. He didn't grow up. He's still a kid, and that's why his team won't make the playoffs like they should. But CD's going to put up damage up to the Giants, so I had to go with this. Obviously, I could be a square for the rest of the season and pick anybody playing against the Giants for the rest of the season. That's probably going to win me. So I think I'll start with CD Lamb this week and go with him against the Giants. And
so is that what you're going to do for the rest of the year? Just pick against the Giants?
I mean, look,
in fantasy lock?
Might as well kick them while they down.
I
think we do that enough on this show.
Yeah.
Thank God it's not a Jets show. Could you imagine how boring how horrible that show must be?
Oh, God. All right. To round things off, I got Nick Chubb against the Raiders. No Baker Mayfield. No Stefanski.
Thank God.
Just run the football. Man, we could do what Bill Belichick and the Patriots did against the Bills. Case Keenum doesn't need to throw it. Just run it with Nick Chubb. He'll get in the end zone. Raiders are like, I don't even know how to describe the Raiders. They're just – are they even a football team anymore? They're just – it's a mess. And Nick Chubb's going to take advantage of that mess. So, yeah, let's go. Nick Chubb. I do think – I think we all picked pretty well. I think this tight race is going to – is a tight race 20 points Zay has on Joe, so – but Sean came all the way back from nothing. So anything can happen in this fantasy with these fantasy.
If I'm being real, your picks are closer. Our game picks are closer. You guys aren't catching me. Sorry, it's not happening.
No one's catching me for the picks. I'm ending the season strong with the overs. Let's go. But all right, that's gonna do it for John about the G-Men this week. It was fun, I guess. I hate talking bad about the Giants. This season's broke me. I try so hard to be the Giants optimist, but I just can't do it anymore. It's just so hard. I just have to say field goal battle every time for the Giants and just pray. It's tough.
It's not fun anymore.
No,
the show gets harder every week.
But at least we have the outlet here to come vent our frustrations. And everyone's understanding and knows the struggles because, goddamn, it is a struggle being a Giants fan this year. It is not even this year. It's just a struggle being a Giants fan in general. But for myself, Big Jace, Joe Aguirre, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay, that's going to do it for John about the G-Men. Big shout out to CTBB Realty and JPEX Financial Group for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you go check them out. And if you are interested, not just in finding out more information about this podcast, but a bunch of other sports podcasts as well as true crime, political stuff, make sure you go to www.clovercrestmedia.com and go check out all the other podcasts there. And if you don't see a podcast you like, you can always start your own and come join the Clovercrest Media Group family. But that's going to do it for John about the G-Men this week. We'll see you next week to talk more Giants football, and it's going to suck. It's probably going to suck, but we'll see you there. So take care. The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting Clovercrest Media.